And yet, here I am again for another project on my crazy car. So I'm going to change the spark plug coil packs, 6 of them on this car. And you always worry when you build a car, is everything going to be still accessible because it's very different from before. So there's the old and new ones out there. And big difference. I think the old ones used to crack a lot. See how skinny that tab is compared to these two hole screw tabs are like the whole length of the body. And the original ones are just small little tabs. Actually, I looked at all mine and there's nothing wrong with them. A lot of people saying there's a crack, so they replace them. But mine has like over 90,000 miles, so I end up replacing them. And I noticed the car runs a lot better now. So, maybe a hairline cracks or something I couldn't see. But the other thing is the bolt heads are a little bit different. Obviously, they're longer. The other ones were Allen, and then they have these ones. Luckily, I had the socket for these other screw types. Pretty easy project. I think it helps the other car lift. And so there's the two rearmost ones on the driver's side, and those are already done. And gonna get a light here because it's kind of dark. I can see a lot better now with the flashlight. You can see the two rear ones very easy, and this one up here in the far front. You just have to take out that little bracket there. I think that's for the O2 sensor there. And once you take that off, that little cable or that little line there, you can just push out of the way. But it makes it pretty much mandatory to take that bracket off of there for the connector. And once I did that, it's really easy. I'm surprised how clean this engine is. Also, the tubes. There's plastic tubes that those coil packs slip into. A lot of people say those leak over time, and you'll see oil run down the side of the engine there. Look at mine's like spotless. I've never seen a car engine that clean. It's a good thing. The strange thing is I bought the tubes, 6 of them, and then the 12 washers, 2 for each tube, to replace them someday. But why replace it if it's not leaking? I think I'll wait until it starts dripping down there and getting all over the exhaust and burning. Maybe not wait that long, but keep an eye on it. Looking over a couple other changes I did. Change the rear sway bar, had to change the drop links. There are a lot of little changes on this car. Some of them maybe probably didn't have to. Put the spacers to bring the wheels out. Even though I had custom wheels, still didn't like it. I don't know, maybe a bad measuring that I did. But it's perfect now with the spacers, ECS spacers. Uh, the good thing about the spacers, when you buy the kit, you get the bolts and everything. A lot of people are searching all over to get the longer studs, uh, bolts for a Panamera and other Porsche models, but this came with everything. Even the 2 set screws that hold this this whole hub on there, they just give you longer ones that'll hold this this spacer on there, so that's good. It all works perfect. The only thing you have to get if you want, you have to get a longer key, right, or a longer lock, because all the ones they give you are just standard, and you want to get like 7 turns on the bolt once you put it in there, and that's exactly what these gave me when I tightened them down. So satisfied with all that. Kind of thinking about doing the front. I don't know. You always worry when you start pushing the wheels out so far with the offset of the wheel. In addition to this, it's gonna be hard on the wheel bearings. But so far, no problems. But it's not a data community car either. So the spark plugs on the sides, a little trickier to get to. Not much. Didn't do these ones yet. Getting ready to do these next. Same thing though on this side. Engine really clean. You can see the 2 and then the far one up front is passenger side. There was just a little plastic shield here I had to take off. It's still there on there now. Doing many projects all at the same time. The other thing I'm doing is all the radiator water coolant lines. And I did the water pump, I did the thermostat and the thermostat housing. And these are the strangest hose I've ever seen. That hose right there, I've got 4 connections on this one hose. Really strange. Got another one that has 3 connections on one hose. It's not too expensive. It might have been like 20 bucks, I think. I forget exactly. But you think some fancy hose like that would be like really expensive, but not. So this car is the S model, so has 3 radiators in the front. The stock Porsche Boxster only has the 2. So a little bit more liquid antifreeze in this car, and bleeding it is no harder, and it's pretty ingenious how they made the air bleeder back on the tank bottle where you fill up the water. None of this raising of the car back, front, and all these other crazy things that some people I think saying to do. I think their bleeder's not working if they had to do anything crazy like that with raising car to get all the air out. Once I left that bleeder up and drove the car around for about a day, all the air came out. So it's worked pretty. This is like the 3rd time I did that. Took off hoses when all the fluid came out. So there's all the remnants from the and the 2 gallons of antifreeze. I bought the kind of you can put in any kind of car. There's so many pros and cons about all that, but I'm not going to pay the $50, $60 a gallon like I did the first time. I'll probably never do that again. It's a waste of money. As long as you get the ones that they say it's good to be mixed or with any kind, you can use that kind. And distilled water also. I think it's like 4.5 gallons this car holds. But the other thing I changed in this is the front sway bar. It's like really hard, the red piece. It's really hard to see up in there. That was really easy. Same as the rear. But the drop links I used is the standard ones. The one thing I need to double check is the tension on these sway bars, because the cars seem like a little bit more rougher ride. Could be because there's too much tension on it just driving straight down the road. I got to drop the car down on the ramps and then crawl underneath there and see if it's not that snug. It might be too tight now. There's the water pump, the old remnants from the job I did. There's the thermostat housing and thermostat, and it's like the same price if you buy just the thermostat or with the housing. It's pros and cons. I mean, this part's never going to go bad, the housing. And then the other thing was the impeller here. A lot of people are saying pros and cons. What I know is if you get the metal one, if anything and the bearings go bad and the thing tilts a little bit, the metal blade is going to be digging into the front of your engine block housing. So I would rather the plastic, even though no matter what, if it breaks, it's going to go in the system, the metal chunks or these plastic bits. But these plastic ones, they're going to grind down the front of your engine block and the housing. It's known to happen on several cars. The 928 isn't one thing. There's some mechanics will never use the composite or metal impellers. I know a lot of people think the plastic ones are cheap ones, but it's the one I took out of there. I thought it was the original, the way the steel gasket was on there, and it was still under. I had to snap a section off to get it off, but I don't think the factory installed ones were plastic impellers, but I could be wrong. But anyway, I installed a new one with plastic impeller. So that's all done. That was a really easy job. I'm sitting up in the back of the car. Here's all the little pieces, the hose. Placed a bunch of other hoses also at the same time. But the coil packs on Amazon, nobody else could match the price. They're Beirut, same as OEM, or they are the OEM brand. So glad another project done. I'm working on another project now. Almost finished, 90% done on changing out the uh, gauge faces with a different color. I think it looks really good. I did it on a Porsche 944 I had many years ago. Changed it to white. The stock was black on that car, and it was just so dark. So it made it a lot brighter. But yeah, some regular maintenance. Why I did the water pump was because it was grinding, and it sounded so bad. It almost sounded like it was some bearing or something on the engine. So I took the belt off and then started the car back up, and the sound totally gone. So the serpentine belt, so that confirmed as definitely it could have been the power steering pump, it could have been the AC, it could have been one of the other ones, but I use a stethoscope and also put it as close as I can to their water pump, and it definitely sounded like it was coming from there, not from the other AC or the other pumps. Uh, what I noticed on this car, the power steering pump is weird when you turn it. You would almost think it's bad the way you spin it. It's not a grinding noise. It doesn't feel like it's a bearing. It just feels really weird. It's nothing like you're spinning the alternator uh, pulling. It's just a different feel, but there's nothing wrong with it. Everything works perfect. So another project. There's a comparison of the old water pump, new water pump. Like I said earlier, plastic impeller on both. I see that gasket, it's metal. Usually the ones from the factory, the metal ones that are stuck, it's a little bit bigger than that, so you have to snap it off to get it off. Here's the stethoscope I used to narrow down and make 100% sure that it was the water pump bearings that were going bad. And you turn it, you could feel it. Um, really bad noise. Kind of worry when you hear that noise that it's only the water pump. There's a lot of people who drive. You can drive further, but why risk it? And so I did that. So that's about it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it and maybe you learned something. The two last things I want to say is the two bolts on the water pump. They're on the back side of them, like a little tab. Those are the two longer bolts. You start screwing them out, they're falling out everywhere. Just remember those two with the tabs on the back side.